Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Sarah Hussain. She specializes in conscious reading and she helps companies and people make huge progress in a short time. Sarah, welcome to the show. Please tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, Peter. It's a pleasure knowing you, and it's a pleasure being here on your show. So a little bit about myself. So I am here in Canada, and this is where my company had started back in 2022. So it's been about just over the end of 2022, so just over 2 years. So essentially what SOM is, it's my brainchild. So it started during COVID, pretty much. And what I wanted to do was have a company which bridges the gap between spirituality and science. So, giving rationale to spirituality through the lens of science. As an independent researcher and an engineer, I was very keen on understanding what is the making of a spirituality. What do we mean when we say, the source or the spirit, and how do you explain these phenomena through the lens of physics or science? So I started on this journey on researching onto it, into consciousness, and I found that there are a lot of parallels that I can draw in quantum physics, in spirituality, and also philosophy. There is a lot of material that supports the concepts that we experience in day-to-day life as spiritual beings. So what I started to do was research into spirituality through physics and through science, and as well share that material on my podcast called Psalm Talks. So Psalm Talks is available on all platforms, and I specifically dive deep into the human experience of consciousness. And I like to give rationale through physics, through science. There are guests who come on board who are also researchers, who are scientists in the space of research in consciousness. So I'm quite privileged in that manner. I feel that having been able to talk to these folks and, having been able to get their input on consciousness and the various amazing things they have been doing. The other part of Psalm is helping people out. So through the podcast as well, and through the consulting that I do one-on-one with people, I offer a spiritual advisory. So you must be wondering, like, where does this come from? So essentially, when I was born and as I grew up, I had certain spiritual gifts, which were heightened through the process of my growth. And especially when I hit mid 20s, I'm in my early 30s now. So when I hit mid 20s, this is when they started to heighten quite a bit. And for me, that was hard to explain to my friends and people that I knew, because I was in a very scientific kind of background. My family was academically oriented, and so were my friends, and my atmosphere was quite a bit educated or educational. They really wanted to know, like, give us some facts, show me a book, or tell me something other than your own experiences, but something that kind of rules out the possibility that this is all fluff, so rationale, reasoning to it. And so I would get into a thought process and kind of a conundrum. I wouldn't know how to proceed into conversations with them. And I thought to myself that this is lacking in the world right now. We are spiritual beings, and we live in this world, and we have these amazing experiences all around us, and yet we're not able to explain. So yeah, there was this continuous kind of like wanting to find an understanding to showcase a spirituality to people, but in a simplistic manner with scientific reasonings. And that is why I started Psalm. So now about the consulting part. So in the consulting part, the spiritual gifts that I was born with is what I use. And what that shows me when I'm helping people is that it shows me their consciousness, but also their attachments to then what happened in the past, what must have happened when they grew up, what must have happened as they were going through relationships. So it gives a lot of insight to me. And in turn, I'm able to help people then make quick shifts and changes in their life. It is something that I am deeply passionate about just because of the varying successful experiences I've had, and also just the ability to help people out. Whenever I see people who come to me or who are in need of help, it seems that they are in a cycle for a long period of time. Sometimes they're in a cycle for years. And so having the ability to then help them out and break the cycle, give them insights where it must have begun, what must have happened in the past, how they can get over it, and how they can start off new. It is something that I found to be profoundly impactful for them, and also a source of motivation for me, because I would love to do it for as many people as I can.
Okay, I have one question. You're talking about consulting, and there are other expressions that or other experts use, like therapy or coaching. Why did you choose consulting?
So, you can call it consulting. That's one way, or coaching, or even like spiritual advisory. I particularly call myself a spiritual advisor.
Mhm.
And the sessions, sometimes because they're synonymous to each other, saying consulting or, just a coaching session. But essentially, going back to your question, that's a very, very good question. There are therapists and there are counselors. And therapists and counselors are pretty good in helping you break your patterns at the moment. I think where my work comes in and just kind of fills the gap is that I have information that's coming from the past that is not at the moment available, or perhaps not available to the person or not available to the practitioner. And so just having the kind of like glimpse into what must have happened in the past or why they're here after all and what I can do to make it better is where I think I have the edge.
Okay, that is great. So, uh, how would how would be the easiest way that we demonstrate to our listeners and viewers on YouTube how your consulting session evolves, or how does it look like for your client?
So for clients, it looks very, very simple. I can go through a summary of what it looks like, and we can also have a quick consciousness reading with you, Peter,
Yeah.
to kind of showcase and demonstrate what it looks like. Would you be interested?
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome. So just to give an understanding of what it looks um, like other like other coaching, like other coaching forms, this is a very collaborative experience. So when you and I are sitting together, I'm essentially accessing your consciousness, so your past, your present, what are the possibilities of the future. Um, in the process, we are collaborating. So you're giving me access to your consciousness. So I take consent before I read you. I form a connection, I start reading you. And we start going into the part that is troubling you at the moment, wherever that lies. So it could be a relationship, could be work. You're going to tell me where it started. Sometimes when people are coming and sitting with me, they don't know where to start because they have so much to share. At that point, I kind of have that kind of leeway to go in and explore as to what is coming up for them first. So sometimes what needs to be addressed is a trauma that is very live in their consciousness. So having said that, I think why don't we just move on to your reading, and that would be a great demonstration for people, shall we?
Yes, please. I'm most interested. What is keeping me back from developing or getting more followers on my YouTube channels and other channels for this Ask Faleskini podcast?
Okay, perfect. So, Peter, we're going to start with a quick meditation where you and I will get connected, and we will kind of start accessing your consciousness to find the answers to that which you just had mentioned, figuring out how to make the podcast successful and what is keeping you back. All right, so if you may please close your eyes and get in a relaxed position. We're now entering a meditative state. I'm just going to request you to relax your arms, the rest of your body, keeping the back straight, and taking 5 deep breaths. While you're breathing, I would ask you to look 20 degrees above eye level. So this is for you to start entering your subconscious. As you look 20 degrees above eye level with your eyes closed, you're now entering a meditative state. Please continue breathing deeply. So, the intention we're setting for our time together, Peter, is that together we're exploring your consciousness. We're entering into it to find peace, tranquility, information for use, everything that is coming from the source with love for you. We're asking the source to protect this space, to facilitate our session, and to allow us to answer the questions that you have. During the session, we're going to have complete peace, tranquility, support, and love from the source and from you and I. The session is meant to help you. When you have said those things in, and when you have completely followed the dialogue I've used, you can say thank you and slowly open your eyes to be present in the session.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for opening up your consciousness for me. May I have the consent to read your consciousness now?
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome. All right, just one moment, Peter. All right, so when it comes to work, you do have a lot of creativity and a very good intuition. And you use that intuition as your tool, right? You're using that intuition to basically drive your product ahead. I think when it comes to support from the scientific avenues, that's a little bit less. Did you want to talk about it a little bit? The organizational support, I believe, that's a little bit less. Is there somewhere you're seeking support from?
Yes, there are many avenues where I seek support from, and this is probably the worst part because I do everything on my own.
Yeah. So I believe that is at the moment kind of keeping you back. This is practically what's happening, right? You're seeking support, but you're not getting support. They're not giving you support. They just say they listen to you, and it seems like they understand what you're doing, but that's about it. There's little giving back. All right, Peter. So now what we're going to do, we're going to look at the other side of your business. So we looked at the physical side of your business. Now we're going to look at the energetic side of your business.
Mhm.
Why is there a block? Okay, so how does your mom think about what you're doing?
She is confused. She does not understand what I'm doing.
Right. So she does not understand what you're doing, and to some extent, it seems like there is a block there.
Okay.
that there is, there's no like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm with you and whatever you're doing. It's not there. What is there at the moment is like, what are you, don't do it. And you're like, no, I want to do it. Okay, now I'm sad that you're doing it. That is what is there. But it kind of creates a block. So what it starts to happen, Peter, is that because we're so connected with people in our lives, right? Our parents, our siblings, our partner, especially when you grow up, the ones you're very connected with are going to be your parents, your partner, your kids. So what they say and how they perceive of you, especially a parental figure, what they say and how they perceive of you really makes a difference in how you go forward. So if they have confusion and if they're not trusting of the process that you're in, sometimes it leaves a massive void because you're not getting that support, you're not getting a motivation, but it also brings an energetic block. So do you want to just like zoom into that block so we can resolve some of that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is like where the emotional string starts to kind of like, you know, get we start getting emotional here, right? Because this is a place where you're connected to your mother, who is the source of your being and who you count on a lot, but she doesn't really understand what you're doing. And she's sad about it in a way that you're pursuing this. So when that happens, I would love for you to kind of like understand what this truly is. The source of your mom's pain, or the source of the pain that you experience in her when she hears about your path, is that she doesn't know how this is good for you. Basically, that's the source of the pain. And what you can do for yourself is to understand and clarify that this is your path. This is important for you. Um, and the goodness of it is at the moment seen by you
Mhm.
in your mind, in your dreams. The goodness of it is seen by you. It may not right away be, you know, out in the open to your mother to also experience. So when she starts to, let's say you take off, right? And she starts to see, oh, this is actually good for you. What a relief, right? She is now like getting it. She starts to see she's on the same page as you on your path. And that is what you needed all along. But at the moment, since that is not there, I would suggest, I would encourage you to kind of like make a mental model of how things can be for you at the moment.
Okay.
So in that mental model, you are allowing your mom to have, an opinion, obviously express if she's frustrated or sad, but you have an understanding that at this moment she's not able to see that this is good for me.
Mhm.
So the next step is completely embracing your path, irrespective of whether she believes this is good for you or not. She's not able to see the good in it at the moment, still completely embracing it and still going forward. So I think that is what starts to happen. And we don't really realize that, but you're not I've seen so many cases like this where we have attachments because of something happening in the past or a very close relationship. And we're not understanding why we're not able to break through. Why is not my business taking off? I'm so frustrated. It is so like, it's so difficult. I'm like in a cycle in it. And what it starts to and those things are all valid and those things are all true. It can be really, really frustrating, but your reality is your consciousness pushed out.
Mhm.
So what you see in your reality, whatever it is that you experience, is your consciousness pushed out. So when you have an attachment like this, which is so meaningful to you, it is going to pull you back somewhere. So the mental model we talked about at the moment, just like a couple of minutes ago, was to differentiate between, a block versus what I can do to facilitate. So now you're creating a mental model to get past this block.
Mhm.
So the mental model essentially acknowledges the position of your mom, right? What she has to say is important, but it also acknowledges that this path is yours. And it is difficult for other people to see the goodness in it or other people to see the vision of it because it is actually here for you. It is all in your mind, it's in your consciousness, it is your vision. So other people won't be able to really see it the way you see it. So I encourage you, Peter, to understand that this is your path. It will be difficult for other people to see it, and then be at peace with it. Be at peace with people not understanding, with your mom not seeing the goodness in it at the moment, and embrace your path completely. So, embracing the path is an important part because sometimes we know the path. We're walking the path, but in truth, we're actually just tiptoeing around the path. We're not really in the path, because being in the path is a little scary because of attachments or reasons. So, what I encourage you to do, firstly, does that resonate? Tiptoeing around the path, but not really in the path.
Mhm.
So, when that is the scenario, as with you, as it was with me like years ago, um, it's you first have to come to a conclusion that this path is your path and there's goodness in it, and others may not be able to see it and they may not be on the same page as you, and yet you embrace the path completely. When you're embracing the path, you're at peace with people not understanding it, right? That is where the changes starts to happen. So when you embrace the path completely, Peter, despite of your mom not understanding that it has goodness for you, you're going to see that there is a shift. Because you're at peace with it at the moment, that it's okay, like I understand you're at peace with the fact that she may not be able to see goodness in it at the moment, it brings about more clarity for you.
Mhm.
So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to give you an opportunity to just talk to me right now about what you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm amazed how you defined the block. I really like the mental model you proposed, and I like the clarity that you bring in the situation, and you have immediate solution. It's not a block, and then I don't know. I have to go to church 5 times or something like that. Is if you start embracing your own path, then everything else will work out.
Yeah,
It's basically
exactly.
about
I think,
self-acceptance, even if it's even if it goes through my mom, but it's self-acceptance, if I
yeah,
understand correctly.
yeah. Yeah. And I think, you hit the nail on the head. It is about self-acceptance. And what starts to happen with us is that when we see that someone is not understanding what we are looking to do in life, or somebody doesn't agree with us and they're close to us like a parent or a partner or someone of that important of a relationship, what starts to happen is that we lose a part of ourselves because we love them so much. We can't accept it entirely because we're accepting it. How can we accept it when somebody doesn't accept what we're doing,
Mhm.
who's so important to us? So, what I encourage you to do, and I encourage other people who are listening to the podcast, is that even if somebody's not on board, if you are at peace with the fact that they're not on board, it will bring you a lot of peace and clarity. And this is kind of like, you know, you're not violating a relationship by being at peace with somebody being in disagreement, um, but you're drawing a clear image of what it is that you want to do, what is self-acceptance, but also that it's okay if they're not on board, being at peace with it. And yeah, this piece propels forward you into doing what it is that you want to do and to keep creating. And when you do start doing good, you're going to notice that those relationships come to you. And they're like, oh, at the moment we didn't believe in it. At the moment we didn't see it. And truthfully, they weren't able to see it, right? Because it wasn't obvious. But now we know what you're doing is great. And that is what we want to get to, Peter. You want to be at a place where you do good and then later on they come and accept it. And that time you're like, oh, this is awesome. Now it's really good to know that you're accepting it. But you're going to notice that you'll be so excited that they see the goodness in it. But because you have filled yourself with peace, you're going to notice that, oh, I actually didn't, I don't need someone to believe in me to do what I need to do. I did it anyway. And that's a beautiful thing, right? But that's also a little tricky. But that's a beautiful thing that you do it anyway, despite anybody believing in you or not. I'll let you tell me your thoughts now.
Yeah, so I really like it. So we started with the success of the podcast. Then we saw that it's not just a podcast, that it's a whole work area. And then we come to the my relationship with my mother and her. Not that she's not supportive, because she is very supportive, but she does not understand what I'm trying to do. So there's a confusion. And this confusion basically demands of me, it's a block, that's a block because there's a confusion, and it demands of me to establish a new mental model where I embrace my path and I accept myself, even if someone as close to me as my mother does not accept it. And I need to start understanding and comprehend that others will not understand me, but I need to go forward anyway. So
Right.
I really like how you connected everything, and this is also important for our viewers, that the let's say the number of followers of podcast is not directly connected to the content, but there are also other blocks in the energy world, and energy
Mhm.
world gives us much better insight in what we have to work on than just improve the thumbnails and the meta text and stuff like that. So that is incredible, and I do encourage our listeners to get in touch if they feel stuck, if they believe that they have a challenge, that they just go and start a consulting session with you, so that they will see, as I have seen and demonstrated, that there is another dimension that you also have to look on it and try to understand, and it will be extremely helpful, even if it's not business advice per se.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you said it with a lot of clarity. And thank you for saying that. That, yeah, there is the energetic area, right? There is our consciousness. And this is what reality really means when I say it is consciousness, or is our reality pushed out. Sorry, our reality is consciousness pushed out. What I essentially mean is this. There are things that we're not able to see right away. We think that, I don't know why my business is not working out. I don't know why this relationship is not working out. I don't know why XYZ may not be working out how I wanted it. I know this is for me, but it's not working out. It's very important for us, Peter, to kind of tune in and to get in touch with our being and see that, energetically, I may be blocking it somewhere because there is this thing that has happened which I have not resolved. And to people listening, if you get in a place where you find that there's something, I just urge you to be at peace with it, to not be resentful, to not want to remove it, because when you resist it, it's going to persist. So to just be at peace with it, you just let it be. And when you're at peace with it, you just move on nonetheless, right? You're at peace with the block. When you're at peace with the block, it's going to resolve for you. And then you embrace your path and you embrace what it is that is for you. That is very powerful. When you're embracing your path with your whole being, that is going to bring about changes, because now you're fully there and you're allowing yourself to walk the path. So now how the path turns out to you is going to be different. So for you, Peter, when you're walking your path, embracing it fully, and then you see the changes, I would love to hear how that is going for you, and I would love to hear how you're feeling about it.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do another episode in a couple of months, and I will explain how things will develop. And as a trained as a trained coach, I must say that I'm amazed how because of the clarity of your insights and how you can relate it, because it's like a psychotherapy on steroids. And also what I like really much is you're completely aware that what we persist resists, and that we have to accept the blockage or the trauma, and that we need to have a new mental model that will um, resolve it, or not even resolve it, but it will use it to our advantage. So um, I really like how you have this profound insight, and you're not just following all the trends. Everything is about trauma and the childhood trauma and all this stuff, and we have to resolve everything and let it through. No, we need to acknowledge it. We shouldn't resist it, and we should establish a new mental model. And we should embrace ourselves. I really like how you structure it. It's just another level. So I really
Wow,
recommend
thank you very
everyone
much.
listening to just get in touch with Sarah. Sarah, where is the best place to reach you?
My email. I am the quickest on my email. You can reach me at hello@officialpsalm.com. I'm going to request Peter to have that in the show notes for people who are interested in getting in touch. And yeah, I may not respond to you, in a couple of hours, but typically within 24 hours, you'll get a response from me or someone in the team.
That is amazing. Sarah, is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers and listeners before we conclude this podcast?
Yeah, I would love to share that when people are making changes, right, when they're adhering to new mental models, it is best for them to not share that too much with other people yet.
Mhm,
There is a phase which is called stabilizing phase. So when you make a change, and you're changing the trajectory of your life, right? You have made a change, it's going to have an impact on your life. It is a profound change. So during that time, it is wise if you are going through the change and observing and cultivating it without bringing outside energies inside.
mhm,
So not telling your friends too much, not telling other people, but just to really go through the change, to write it down, to stabilize yourself in that change. Once you have stabilized yourself in that change, then you can relax a little bit. Then you can share that with your friend. Like I was in a difficult time, then I did this, and now I'm in a better place. But while you're going through the change, you're going to notice that, and you have found a solution, right? Only when you found a solution, like Peter did in the session, he found a solution. So now when he's accepting and adhering to the solution and creating this phenomena for himself of changing trajectories, it is best, Peter, it is really wise to stabilize yourself into it first.
mhm,
Walk the path, check how you're feeling, make sure you're completely in it and you have resolved things within yourself. And then you're following a mental model and then walk the path a little bit. And you're going to see that, wow, I'm now enjoying myself and I'm stabilized. And then you'll be in a great position to kind of share it with friends, share it with people who are close to you. Yeah, that's I think very important.
Okay, Sarah, thank you very much for all the insights. Thank you for all the clarity that you have brought to me and, of course, other listeners and viewers.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you again for being my guest tonight.
Thank you so much, Peter. It was wonderful reading you. And yeah, good luck with everything, and we'll chat again.